Hello and welcome to another episode of the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast. This is episode 155. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Ryan Cross from the Firearms Radio Network, your source broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This week, I got with me Sean. I got Tony. Tony's beard is making an appearance. And we also got Rob. How's it going, guys?
Hey,
It's going great.
Tony's alive.
Sweet.
Yes, I'm alive. The stories of my death were exaggerated.
So actually, I think Rob's going to leave because he's having some technical issues. So it might just be Tony and Sean for the most part until Sean decides that taxes are more important than the masses. So
I don't think taxes are more important, but the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania feels taxes are more important. So if I don't pay it, I end up sitting next to Wesley Snipes and I don't get a part in his next movie. So, yeah.
So did anyone do anything good in guns this week?
I've been doing a bunch of maintenance. I've been cleaning guns.
Pretty much, I've been
How about you, Tony?
I've been dry firing, or not dry firing, shooting my shirt pistol. That was about it.
Cool. I got I just put a new handguard on my SBR today. It's a Seekins 7-inch. Was it the MSCAR? It's some kind of acronym starting with an M, ending in R. But it comes in a couple different lengths. It's M-Lock. So I'm finally a 100% M-Lock key mod free gun owner. Feels good to not have anything key mod left in the collection. I really like it. It's a little bit longer than what I had on there before, extra 2 inches, giggity, and it's got a larger internal diameter for my suppressor because I noticed with the if I have the suppressor and then even like the suppressor sleeve on top of that, so I don't burn my hand. M-Lock, the screws kind of go in too far and will prevent me from either removing the suppressor or prevent it from being installed if the screws are tightened down all the way. So larger inside diameter, 1.8 to fix that, and it's a little bit longer. That overhangs the suppressor a little bit more.
Well, that's the more important thing.
4 slots of M.
Not so much the length, but the internal diameter. It's all about internal diameter. That's what the girls want to hear about.
Yeah, it's girth, really. It's not length. It's all about that girth. It's got 3 M-Lock slots down each side, as well as QD ports to try and keep the train on the rails. It's a little soon to be breaking off into innuendos. So I did that, and I also shot my new bow. Been fletching some arrows for it, and putting that trail camera that I reviewed a couple weeks ago, putting that out and trying to see what kind of bucks are going to wander into the wrong neighborhood this year. And then I took a Glock upper to a Glock armor to have them put in the internals because I don't have time for that, and I didn't have all the parts on hand, so I just let them deal with it for now. And I'm still needing to finish up that Polymer 80, which I'm trying to record the process too. So if I screw up, it's going to be live, and or at least it's going to be documented. But if I do a great job, you guys will be able to see how easy it is to mill out one of those 80% Glock lowers.
Nice.
So that's pretty much what I've been doing. Some sweet stuff with Patriot Patch Co., which leads right into the announcements, so might as well just get into them. So bandwidth sponsor for this excellent podcast is Patriot Patch Co. Me designing PVC morale patches, and Jake being the business guy he's slinging them and doing his magic. So we have a new patch of the month. We launched a patch of the month last month. We just started the program. So it's basically just a subscription club. It's $15 a month, and you get exclusive patches that aren't not available to anyone else except other people in the club. So last month we did that safe space with the inside of a gun safe with the door hinged open and all the guns on the inside. I mean, I've never seen a morale patch with an open gun safe and, like 4 or 5 different guns inside. So I'm having a lot of fun with these. The new ones are very much holiday themed. So for November, there's actually 2 patches and 1 sticker for $15 instead of just 1 patch and 1 matching sticker. So we're giving you an extra patch this month to get people involved in the club. So the first one is we've got a tactical turkey. He is rocking the FN Scar, and he also has a hatchet slung over his shoulder. He's got a helmet with some night vision on there. It says, "You want a piece of this?" Basically, millions of turkeys are slaughtered in the name of Thanksgiving every year, and but this one's not going down without a fight. So it's like a turkey with a. And then the other one that we're doing is the Mark 18 pumpkin spice smoke grenade. So there's nothing better than. Yeah, I thought you kind of inspired me on this one, but there's nothing better for clearing those Black Friday clouds than hooking a pumpkin spice grenade into the crowd. And then the sticker is going to be the turkey. We kind of flipped a coin and decided to do the turkey as a sticker for this month. So free shipping, and it's a reoccurring $15 every month, but you do get a sticker and a patch that is pretty much a collector's item for the rest of your life. So
that pumpkin spice Mark 18 is also good for dispersing crowds of basic white girls.
Oh my God!
Actually, we've tested it. It actually attracts white girls. So
really,
you can disperse crowds unless the crowd is all white women in their mid-20s. Have the opposite effect, and it just attracts them in. So kind of a dual function.
So if you're looking for the latest in yoga pants and Ugg boots.
Well, see, if I'd have known it was that easy 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I got mine.
Yeah, we actually prototyped it with Tiger Woods.
Wow.
But
wow.
So the pre-orders, the camping patch that we had for pre-order is now live and shipping today. So we're going to have a new pre-order. It's not up as I record, but it will be up in the next day or so. It's a American flag in camouflage color scheme, and there's a white-tail buck overlaid at the top of it, and it's American heritage. So I call it the hunting flag. So very appropriate for this time of year. It should go really great if you've got a camouflage hat with a patch panel on there you like to wear when you're hunting. You can rock a Patriot patch while you're out there doing your thing in the fields. So
awesome.
And then that's it for Patriot Patch Co. As for the network goes, that new listener support program that I've been telling you guys about, if you go to the Firearms Radio website and go to the pledge page, you can pledge support to any one of the podcasts on the network. This one, the Reloading one, any of your other favorite podcasts, and that money goes directly toward improving the content. And if you pledge any sort of money of this podcast, not only will I get more attractive naturally, but I will be buying more gear that I otherwise wouldn't have bought personally to review. So it goes towards a good cause. I'm not going to get a more attractive with money. I already figured that out.
I think, if you've ever sent listener feedback that suggests that there's something in particular you would like to see, you should definitely participate in that program.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I mean, there's different levels too. I mean, it could be, the lowest or the highest, and obviously there are some sweet swag items from Patriot Patch that we're throwing in there to help make it worth your while. So don't think you're not getting anything out of it, because not only do you get an improved program, but you're going to get some Patriot Patch swag while we're at it.
So is there like a comment section when you fill out the form to make your payment that you can say, hey, by the way, my name is Jerry, and I think you should review this piece of gear?
Yeah, I mean, they can just email me that personally to gungearreview@gmail.com. They can say, hey, I donated to your podcast. You need to buy that micro gun now.
Yeah, that would
take my $20 and buy that micro gun.
And go get that micro gun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's legit.
So Now's the part where we talk about the Black Bag Resources coupon code, but since Sean's here, I'll just let you hear it from the horse's mouth.
That's all right. There's been a lot going on with Tony being down. I haven't had a lot of good malapropisms to choose from. So I've decided that any order over $50 is going to get free shipping with a coupon code from Tony. And it's going to be Tony's middle name.
Oh, you know.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This month's coupon code that gets you free shipping on any order over $50 site-wide.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Friday, November.
Don't you do it.
What was the date I gave you, Ryan?
November 4th.
Friday, November 4th, you will get free shipping on any order over $50 with the coupon code Tony's middle name.
Oh, you're a jack. Oh, you're a jack. It took it 15 years to learn my middle name. Oh. Yeah, you're not getting it. It's just Tony's middle name. That's it.
Correct. That's the coupon code. Tony's middle name. All one word, no punctuation. Tony's middle name.
Yep.
Yes, right now there's a thing going on in my job. People are trying to go through my personnel files and find out my middle name. It became a thing during the summer for some bizarre reason.
Really? Is there a financial reward for that? Because
no, it's just people are nosy.
We've been friends for a long time, Tony, and I'm willing to accept bribes.
Whatever.
But even that was firearms related, Ryan. After all these years not knowing Tony's middle name, he used me as a reference on a pistol purchase permit, and the form comes from his police department. Please sign off on this for your very good friend, Tony Simon.
Yeah.
With his middle name printed on there, big as day. And boy, was he mad when I called him up.
Hate you. Hate the police
is
department.
It Delilah?
Yes, that's what it is. It's Delilah.
If he's willing to go with it, much worse.
No, it's Lawrence of Arabia.
I don't like you. I really don't like you.
It's one too many close calls with Tony's middle name tonight. I think he's about to have a heart attack. So there you go. Until Friday, November 4th, free shipping site-wide on any order over $50 with coupon code Tony's middle name. That's all you get from me this week. Bye, Felicia.
See you later, man. Oh, I'm glad he repeated it several times because I think he was kind of skipping out a little bit. So, you still with me, Tony? Or you need a moment to compose yourself? I'm not sure where he went. You're here? Yeah, you're kind of glitching out on me a little bit.
Yeah, I just saw that. I turned the camera off. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah, much better now. Yep.
What happened? Lost Sean?
All right. So, you want to talk about your middle name more, or do you want to move forward with my review?
We can move forward. Move forward. Let's get along. Move it along. Move it along. There's nothing.
What I thought. That's what I thought. So this week I'm going to be reviewing another Stealth Gear USA holster. I did review previously their inside the waistband mini holster, and I do have the regular inside the waistband holster here. This is not the mini. This is the full size, formerly known as the Onyx. I'm not going to do a review on this guy because it's literally the same thing as the mini, just a little bit wider profile with the backing there. But I did get a third holster type from them that is worth talking about. It's going to be a much shorter review because I've already talked about the materials used, so I don't have to spend as much time talking about that. So this is the AIWB, or the appendix inside the waistband holster. I also got it for my SIG P938 with a Crimson Trace laser guard on there. So this is an appendix inside the waistband holster, so you carry it kind of between your legs, but off to one side and your front. And let me begin my review by saying I hate appendix carry. It just does not work for my body type. And I had a hard time giving this a fair score, and keeping in mind it's a great holster. The materials are great, the workmanship is great, but the carry style, the mode itself, I do not like at all. It's hell. I feel like I gave myself a hernia trying to make it work in whatever position I could. So now that I prefaced the review, now I can actually get into it. So the AIWB holster appendix carry, they make it in a couple different colors, and I actually just noticed when I was kind of updating my review this week, and I was going to talk about it on the air, they have a AIWB Plus holster, which is the same thing, but they changed the backing profile because they've added a magazine pouch, a single magazine pouch that goes basically right here, along, in front of the sight channel on front of the slide. So forward of your gun, you could have one magazine inside the waistband. Great idea and concept. I wish I had a different body that would make it work comfortably for me, but I just don't. You might. If you do, I'm very happy for you. There's a lot of people that are big proponents of appendix carry because it's more comfortable for them. It's more concealable for them. They can bend over and not print at all. They hate the feeling of having that bulge on their hip, no matter what position it's in, 3 o'clock, 4, 5. There's some people that just do not like the feeling of a holster inside the waistband on their hip, and they prefer it down the front. There's also just as many people that say that's a terrible idea. The muzzle's pointing at your family jewels and your other important things like your femoral artery. And if there was an accidental discharge or a negligent discharge, you're pretty much pointing the muzzle at yourself. Well, that is true. That's also untrue. It really depends on the quality of the holster and your body type that is accustomed for it. So I'm not really here to talk about like the pros and cons of appendix carry because I already told you I hate it because it's just not comfortable for me. It's not even comfortable enough for me to for a whole day and give you like my feedback. I hate the feel of the bulge on my pelvic bone. I move it off to one side of my leg so that it's kind of pointing. I guess if you're sitting in your car seat, the muzzle's pointing at the car seat and not your leg. But it just was not comfortable for me at all. And I tried different pants with different size waistbands just in case maybe my pants were too tight and I needed an extra size above that. I still couldn't make it work, but I can still review the holster for its qualities, its workmanship, and some things that I did notice about it that kind of worry me a little bit. So I'm just going to get right into the key points because if you really want to know about the materials used, it uses a vent core on the back. I'll just cover those points in case you have not heard my previous review. I forget which episode number it was on, but if you just look on the Firearms Insider or the Firearms Radio Network website and look up Stealth Gear USA IWB holster, you'll see my review. So the backing is mesh. They call this vent core. So it's very much breathable mesh, just like basketball shorts or something like that. That's the back. The front, let me remove my firearm. It is clear. I'm going to be probably muzzling myself a couple times in the video just to turn that gun around and give you different angles of it. So I took the gun out. It's clear. There's no bullets anywhere near me. The front of the holster has got this rhino mesh, they call, and it's a very abrasive mesh, but yet you can see daylight through it, and you can breathe through it and feel the air pass through the backing. So ultimately, they designed this holster with some pretty premium and unconventional materials so that it's breathable and you don't sweat when you're carrying it inside the waistband and it's rubbing up against your skin. So if chafing and sweating is a problem with you for inside the waistband carry, then this solution works great. But it does have some pros. It has some cons to go along with those pros. It is really flexible. The Rhino mesh is tries to give it some extra support, but it is pretty flexible. Sometimes when you put the gun in or take the gun out, and if you've got some bulge in your body, whatever your body type is, there could be some closing or some warping of the backing and some kind of closing of that hole to reinsert your firearm. The shell is Kydex. Everything's hand fitted. There's a 25-day turnaround time when you order your holster in there, just because they literally hand fit everything. They're not like pre-assembled in a box at their shop. So the workmanship is definitely there. I can see the care that they took. The backing, if whatever reason you're rough on your holsters or you train a lot, this mesh is really soft and can snag and eventually get worn. I haven't taken this thing out and really tried it and tried to damage the meshing, because again, I could not make it feel comfortable for the life of me, unless I found some kind of sweatpants that could had some belt loops on it. But I think even then I couldn't find a comfortable position for the life of me. So now I'm going to get into the 8 key points, and then when I get to the pros and the cons, I'll talk about the score I gave it and what I was kind of really concerned about safety-wise with this holster. So, claim to fame, just like the other holster, when seconds counts, your holster will perform. The target market for this guy is going to be concealed carriers that are specifically interested in appendix carry. That goes without saying. The features and benefits, like I talked about, that vent core breathable mesh on the back, the Rhino mesh front layer. The hardware is black oxide, finished and treated so that it's very much rust proof. All in all, you can say that this holster is like waterproof. It's not going to absorb any kind of moisture. The clips are polymer. They are 2-position. Now, if you go to the website, stealthgearusa.com, and you actually look at the appendix inside the waistband holster, you'll see that there's only one clip, and that clip is just above the slide, or where that sight channel is on the slide. And you can, if you're watching the podcast or you're listening, I'll tell you, mine came with 2 clips attached. So there's an anchor point or a screw just forward of the trigger guard, and that is where the second clip is attached to the screw. So I guess when I looked down through their specs, they said that they're going to start basically selling these with 2 clips instead of 1. And they don't really give an explanation as to why. I could have asked, but I didn't really want to wait around for the answer. I understand why the first clip is where it is, because if I hold the holster sideways and look at it, it's in a position where there's no extra added bulk against your pants. It's not, if you put a clip, obviously any other part where the gun is protruding, you're just adding to the overall profile, the width of it. And the other clip, the second one that I'm not really sure why they put there, that has a tendency to kind of, if you pivots, it can ride up on the Kydex where the trigger guard is, and it does stick out a little bit farther than the other clip. So it does add some bulge. As far as comfort goes, maybe that's why I tried taking it off, and it was a little bit more comfortable, as far as I wasn't fighting, like, okay, this clip goes on this side of the belt, this clip goes on that side. And I guess the way they designed this inside the waistband appendix holster with this first clip, we're going to call that clip A. Clip A is designed to be a pivot point, so that if you're standing, you can have the muzzle pointing straight down at the ground or at your feet. If you're sitting or crouching or squatting for a elongated amount of time, it's designed to pivot so that it could kind of rock the gun with the grip kind of more toward your leg, so that it's a little bit more comfortable, like if you're driving in a vehicle and you want to carry this way. So I understand that. I don't understand why they put the second clip on there, because then that eliminates that pivoting ability. Maybe if what you do is stand all day and you don't want it to pivot at all. You want your grip to be in one position all the time, and for consistency in your draw, and you don't want it to pivot. Maybe that's what the second clip's for. I'm just taking a shot in the wind there. What was I doing? Oh, the features and benefits. The width is 4 inches. The height is 7 1/4 inches. The weight is 3.6 ounces. Like I said, each one is hand fit and custom designed for every single handgun. If you get one for the SIG, it's going to be a little bit different than the Ruger and so on, because they really design the backings and all the components, which there's over 30 components in this little holster. All these things go into that specific gun model, and that kind of leads to the price point because there's some production time involved. So the other aesthetic options: black, flat, dark earth, and OD green, as well as you can get the plus models, which are more expensive. I'll talk about that in the price point, which is actually the next point, because I'm going to skip the what other people say review part. So price point is $94 for the standard one that I'm holding now, $119 to $134 for the Appendix Plus holster that has that integrated mag pouch. If you need it now, it's on their website. So my rating is going to be a 6.0 as okay. I was debating giving it a lower score because I really have so much disdain for the feel of appendix carry. But I got to remember, I'm not reviewing appendix carry itself. I'm reviewing this holster and the quality and workmanship of it. And less than 6.0 on our scale is mediocre, and that's just what Jake decided. And this holster is by no means mediocre. I mean, the materials are really nice. It's reflected in the price tag, but it's a really nice holster as far as the quality and whatnot. So I'm giving it a 6.0 for the following reasons. Well, first, I'll give you the pros and then cons. Pros: a lot of the pros are carried on from my previous review. It really combines lightweight breathability with strength and retention. It's probably the most breathability you're going to get and still have it be, have some kind of strength and, retention to a holster backing. The cant is adjustable. The website makes selecting a gun, model, light, laser accessory, and whether you're left or right-handed really easy, the way they have their navigation set up. Cons. So this is my biggest con, and this is actually kind of worried me. And see if Tony can notice this. So I'm going to take my handgun, put it inside the holster, and when I flip the holster around, and I can actually take my finger and fold down the sweat guard. What do you see there, buddy?
What, trigger?
A trigger, exactly. So because of the screw points on this holster, there's it's got 3 screws on the slide side, above the slide or just to the left of the slide, and then on the other side there's only 2 very close together anchor points just forward of the trigger guard, basically underneath the muzzle and in front of the trigger guard. There is no anchor point under the trigger guard closer to the frame where there is on their other model. See, I'm holding it up to the camera right now, and it has an anchor point right under the trigger guard. That prevents being able to fold the sweat guard back and reveal the trigger, so the trigger remains protected. On this appendix model, not so much. So if you're carrying it, and for whatever reason, maybe a foreign object can get lodged in between there. If you are in an altercation with somebody and they're close enough to where if you reach for the gun, but they're able to get a hand on the gun and try and get it out from your holster, and use it against you, very, very easily you can get to that trigger. I mean, I have obviously no ammunition in this. It is a 1911 style, the P938, so I obviously carry with the hammerback and the thumb safety on. But if this were a gun that did not have a thumb safety, you could easily reach down in there and put your finger between the gun and the backing, and it's very effortless to access that trigger and set it off and shoot yourself in the femoral artery, or dingus or whatever else you got down there in your foot. Basically, you don't want that to happen. So I understand why they wanted to keep it a very slim profile, obviously for comfort, for specifically inside the waistband appendix carry. And adding extra material here would increase the width. So they forego the extra material and another post right there. However, that's kind of a safety concern. I don't know if I'm just being like a safety Sally, and that's maybe like a little bit of a stretch to imagine that somebody can or something can get in there and pull that trigger while it's still in the Kydex shell. I don't think so. I think I'm somewhat justified in worrying about that. If the backing had more strength and tensile strength and didn't bend as easy, you wouldn't have that issue. So, I mean, am I just a worrywart here, or do you think there's some viability to that?
Yeah. When you can reach the trigger, because part of the holster folds back, it could go the other way too, you know. I mean, it seems to me while you're putting it in there, it could fold down. And again, if you have something like Glock 42, Glock 43 with no safety, if it folds in on itself, I mean,
yeah, it's even possible if when you go to draw the gun, if you don't leave your thumb like out, if you don't rest your thumb on like the top of the sweat guard, if for whatever reason your thumb actually goes in between the firearm and the backing, and you've got a firearm that's kind of a shorter profile like the P938, I imagine any of the other smaller pocket size pistols, this might not be applicable to like a double stack or a subcompact and larger. This is very much a pocket pistol. I mean, I can squeeze the trigger with my thumb right now with just putting my thumb in between the pistol and the backing. So it's possible to do this completely on your own, unintentionally. So what I would say is train and know that limitation and just draw very intentionally and try to draw your holster on a threat when they're not in bad breath distance. But unfortunately, that seems to be exactly when you need the gun. And most altercations with a self-defense firearm happen at that bad breath distance. Tony can back me up on that. If his technicals weren't dificulting.
Yeah, okay, I'm back, right?
Yeah, you're here. Now? Yeah.
Yeah, I had to change computers. One of them started acting up.
It's okay. That was a pretty smooth transition, though. If I didn't say nothing, I wouldn't have known the difference.
All right. So you're done with that? Because that's where I cut out at. I was changing over, so I didn't hear the rest of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at on that. Do you have any comments on that?
Well, one of the comments I have is just a general thing. Just because everyone is, everyone in the...
You glitched out again. You there? Hello. I'm not sure what happened to Tony, so I'm just going to move on. So the two products we want to talk about this week, they kind of fit into the prepper mindset. And the first one is some silencers from Silencer Inc. And these are called their Doomsday silencers. And they're very affordable, and that's like their biggest benefit. Most people don't want to get into the stamp collecting game or suppressor ownership, not just because of all the red tape, but because they can't justify spending $500 and upwards, the cost of a nice production pistol for a tube with some baffles in it that can make it a little bit quieter. And so while there's a lot of innovations and design in the suppressor market that I'm a big fan of, it's really important to recognize suppressors that are effective and inexpensive, because it helps reach those other people that have, not gotten their toes into the NFA pool yet. So Doomsday suppressors from Silencer Inc. There's two. There's a 5.56 caliber and a 30 caliber. And the 5.56 MSRP, $300. That's only $100 more than the tax stamp. So that's pretty good. and the 30 cal is only $50 more, $350. These cans aren't going to win any beauty contest because the reason why they're so inexpensive is that they are made a little bit more efficiently and quickly by using exterior welds. So there are about 6 ribs on the outside of the can, and those ribs are literally the welding lines of the baffles. So it looks a little odd compared to some of the higher end suppressors, but if it does the job and it works and you can afford it, you might even be able to afford more than one for the price of any of the other larger name brand suppressors. You can get 2 or 1 of each to cover your 22 caliber suppressors all the way to 30 cal. That might be a really good hole in the market for this kind of thing. So they in their website, they very much describe it as, hey, when the doomsday comes, that's the theme, prepping, is that why would you pay, $700 to $2,000 for basically a muffler for your firearm? Instead, you can spend that money on more important things like ammunition, fuel, shelter, food, beer. So they make a very good point. And if you're just getting into suppressor ownership and you want to get into one, but you don't want to pay a lot of money, this might be just up your alley if you don't care that it has, ribs on the outside. Then again, you could get a suppressor cover or a sleeve or a mirage mitigation device. They call it by a couple different things. It's just a sleeve that goes over your suppressor. You're not going to see the ugly welds, and they're not that ugly, actually. They're kind of nice from a industrial standpoint. But yet you won't even notice that. Your buddies won't know the difference. Unless you live in New Jersey and you can't have suppressors anyway.
Yeah. So I look at it this way. Save your money. Get a suppressor that works. The only thing that counts is how many decibels, right? How quiet is it?
Right.
That's the only thing that makes a difference. Other than that, save your money up, get that, and have fun with it. Get more than one. That's the way I look at it. I mean, think about it. The technology's been around for suppressor, silencer, whatever you want to call it, since the early 1900s. It's something you can look up on the internet. I was listening to a podcast, I think it was We Like Shooting, and the guy said it takes like $7 worth of materials to make a suppressor. So now you have to ask yourself, what is everyone else charging? And he's even talking about titanium suppressors. So it's not that much material. Everybody's just making a killing off of this because it's an NFA item. If it wasn't one, it would, come on, man. I mean, the guy was selling them when he first came out with them for what, $5, something like that? I mean, this is in the early 1900s, but just make adjustments for inflation. It's not an expensive item.
Right.
So buy the thing, put a cover on it, or have it covered by your hand like yours is.
So if you're like a suppressor owner already, or you're becoming a little bit more of a enthusiast aficionado, and you're worried about decibel ratings, unfortunately, I don't see any listed decibel ratings on the Silencer Inc. website. I think Copper Customs, they carry these for sure. I think they might have done a video. I haven't found it yet because I just added these to the show notes today. But I am pretty sure maybe Tim on Military Arms channel has a video of these. I'll have to look it up after the show. If he actually took a sound meter and took some measurements, some readings. Sound meters are really expensive, at least the really accurate ones. So I'm not sure if he has done that yet or not. But they are available on their website, and I noticed that they are available in 2 different finishes for the same price. So you can get the black oxide, which is a matte black, or you can get the exclusive heat treat, which is like a chrome. Basically when you get stainless steel really hot, and it kind of turns that kind of golden copper kind of chrome finish. That's basically the finish that is applied there. So if you're looking for flash, then that might be the way to go. You're not going to save money either way if you choose one finish over the other. But yeah, like I said, there is no decibel readings that I could find right off the bat. I can tell you the dimensions. So we'll start with the 5.56 can. So obviously it's direct thread only because that's very cheap to manufacture. So calibers 5.56, everything below that. And they do have a minimum barrel length listed as 11 inches. So the welds that are used and the structural integrity, they're not guaranteeing it on SBRs or pistols shorter than 11-inch barrels because of the pressure in the barrel and the bore. The construction is 17-4 stainless steel on both the 30 cal and the 22 cal or 5.56 cal. So that's obviously much cheaper than stainless steel. Oh, I'm sorry, titanium. It is stainless steel. Let's see here. The 5.56 can, like I said, minimum is 11 inches. They do not have a minimum rating on the 30 cal can. I don't know if it's beefier and that it does not have a minimum, but I'm not seeing that on their website. As for the sizes go, the 5.56 can is 7 inches long. It only weighs 14 ounces, and it will fit inside most handguards with an inside diameter of 1.33. So that's a pretty slim can. Obviously, the 30 cal cans get a little fatter, a little stouter, but this one does not. It's the same diameter. But the length is longer. It's 8.75, so 8 3/4 inches long, but it still has that smaller than 1.5 inch diameter, which is kind of unusual for a 30 cal can. 8 3/4, almost 9 inches. That's not unusual for a 30 cal can, but keeping the diameter under 1.5 inches is actually a little bit more unheard of. And the weight of that is only 16 ounces, so it's still all not that heavy. It's shorter, skinnier, and lighter than my AAC Cyclone 30 cal can, if that gives you any kind of reference. And they do have a $50 discount for law enforcement agencies or officers purchasing through their eligible agency if you purchase directly from Silencer Inc. or through one of their authorized LEO program dealers. So you can get them even cheaper if you're buying it for work, basically. Cool.
Yeah, I just think it's an overpriced market, and this right here, if you're smart or if you just don't want to spend a lot of money. I mean, if you have different things like different muzzle devices and stuff you want to attach, go ahead, spend the extra what, $700?
Yeah.
Go
yeah.
ahead.
I mean, if I walked in the gun shop and I had $550 in my pocket, and I saw this thing in the counter, and I looked at the price, and I got to hold it and whatnot, I'd be really tempted to just not get the paperwork started that day. I kind of wish I had saved some money on my first suppressor, but there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, buy a bigger name brand like AAC or Silencer Co. or Griffin Armaments or any of the other big ones, SIG now. Buy one of the bigger ones because it's supposedly going to be better, more reliable. You got a bigger company producing it." That's not necessarily true. Like Tony said, this isn't rocket science. It's a tube with baffles. It's old tech. Yes, it does have some there are some advances in the engineering and the design involved these days, but you don't necessarily need to buy into all that fancy bells and whistles if all you're looking for is just something to have to silence or quiet, suppress the sound of your firearm, and you want to be able to afford other stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, but you could get in on the ground floor of this and still be just as effective and just as quiet as someone with something way more expensive.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, you put a cover on it, no one knows what you have.
Yep. If I came home and I was like, "Hey, babe, I bought another suppressor," she would be furious. And then I'd go like, "Wait for it. It was only $300. She'd go, "Oh, okay. What's the problem?" Just saying, if your significant other's familiar with the cost of suppressors, they might actually be okay with it. Maybe not.
True. Yeah, okay. I had a girlfriend that used to tell me, "Listen, I caught these boots on sale. I saved $50. It's like we made money."
Right? It's the same logic. You understand?
Yes, of course.
All right, so going along with the prepping theme and survival, the next product is kind of in the same category. So this is the SAS Tactical Survival Bow, and I just saw this on a YouTube video, Twang and Bang. I don't know if you guys have ever watched Twang and Bang. That is an awesome YouTube channel, by the way.
Yeah,
he reviews guns and bows, and very nice guy, very great. His words are good. If I were to quote a presidential candidate right now, he does words good. Unlike myself, he's very well spoken, and he's a very well knowledgeable outdoorsman in all categories. There, that sounded intelligent. So the SAS, the SAS stands for Survival Archery Systems. So they've had this bow out before. Tony was asking it because he thought this was kind of familiar. So they've kind of, I think, redesigned it a little bit. It's a takedown bow it's a folding bow with takedown arrows. So the MSRP is basically $200, $199.95. The riser and the body of the bow is just a rounded rectangle tube of metal. So it's not pretty or ergonomic. It almost looks like Glock made a bow. But the limbs are hinged, so they kind of fold in on themselves. And inside that hollow rectangle tube, you can store the arrows, which are takedown arrows, meaning that they two parts of the shaft that screw together with threads in the middle. So you can actually store 3 arrows, so 6 pieces inside the tube while you have this thing folded. And it does come with a carrying case. It's a nice little camouflage bag that it fits in. So this is kind of something that you throw into your bug out bag if you wanted to play, survival, or if you were, I don't know, a pilot, a bush pilot, and your plane crashed and you needed a bow and arrow to gather your food and your sustenance and defense, yada yada yada. Tony has some very good thoughts on using this as a last-ditch effort survival tool. What do you have to say there?
If you've never developed the skills in the first place, it's not going to help you, regardless if it's this bow or a Matthews bow or a Hoyt bow. If you don't know how to use it and you don't know how to hunt, it's not going to help you. It's pretty weak for a bow. At the price point, you can get a Ruger 1022 takedown. Comes with a nice camouflage bag too. Much more effective range than the bow. Lightweight. At $17 per arrow, you can buy a lot of ammo for that 22 ammo. You can fit the 22 with a suppressor and be real quiet also. I mean, it's an option, but I think there are better options. I think it requires a skill set and it requires you to use this thing a lot. And I think the cost will go up because you'll lose arrows and other stuff while using it. I just think there are better options.
Yep. Well, that's all, folks. Good night. Just kidding.
Well, I'm looking at it and it's talking about feet per second is up to 200 feet per second. What was the bow you just purchased? 360?
It's below 300. It's like 290, 280.
Oh, okay. So is this pretty good or what?
Well, apparently there's a video of a guy that took down a wildebeest with the 55-pound SAS. So if the video's legit, then it does seem to give the arrow enough velocity in foot-pounds to take down a large animal. I do not think you should take this with you to Africa and have it be your only means of self-defense. Please be smarter than that, folks. This, to me, realistically, if I had this in a bag, obviously I'm going to have guns with me wherever I'm at. But if the guns failed or I couldn't have access to my guns for some reason, then if I had this bow, or even if you're one of those people that has property and you like to stash caches around your property, if you had this stashed in a tree stump or something, then yeah, you could play Rambo for the weekend. But like Tony said, just because you have it does not make you Katniss Everdeen or Legolas or whatever archery pop culture reference you want me to use. It's not going to make you a great archer. You still need to have the fundamentals and practice, because essentially it's a very tactical longbow. There's no sights really. It's all muscle memory. You have to actually place the rest for the arrow yourself. It looks to be some sort of plastic piece, very simple, that's got maybe like a 3M adhesive backing. So you kind of have to set the bow up for yourself, as far as you put the string on. Obviously, when you fold it, the string, you need to take the string off the limbs before you can fold it. So you need to be able to, when you need it, unfold the limbs and be able to put them between your legs and know how to string a bow. You got to have that skill set. But yeah, you got to be able to shoot with no sights, shoot just bare fingers and hit what you're aiming at, and do it when you're starving and your life depends on it. Because if it's going to be a survival bow, then you've got to be able to use it to survive. It's interesting theory. I'd buy this from like my kid for something fun to do in the backyard, not for $200. For $200, I'm just going to get him an actual youth bow that's nice. It's got compound with some lead off and something that he can actually build good skills, and then eventually when he grows out of it or gets big enough, or old enough, buy him a real compound bow and get him into the same sport. It looks kind of like a design for the bushmen out there, but like Tony said, there's better tools for the job. A 12-22, Ruger's got the market covered for takedown 22s that are reliable. I mean, you can even go with the Henry survival rifle, the AR-7.
Yeah, the AR-7, it works.
Yeah, it works, and you can throw that, and it takes up even less space, and it floats. I'm not sure if this floats or not. So let me get into the specs real quick. So it is available in different poundages and different whether left or right-handed. So from 45 pounds all the way up to 55 pounds, left or right-handed. It's pretty much a modern longbow. The maximum draw length is 31 inches, which is pretty good. That's a pretty big person with a big arm span. The bow length is 60 inches when it's strung, 21 inches when it's folded and stored. The brace height is 7 to 8 inches, which is recommended for your draw length. The brace height, if you don't know, is the distance between the bowstring and basically the riser of the body of the bow when the string is attached. If you've got a much shorter brace height, like 5 inches, that ain't good. You need to it's shown on the Twang and Bang video. You kind of learn how to, okay, if I spread my pinky and my thumb, because I'm in the woods, I don't have a ruler, if that's about 7 inches, then when you put the string on the bow, and if it's shorter than that, then you need to twist the string a couple times and then put it back on the limb, and that decreases the overall length of the string, and then it more exaggerates the curve, the bend of those limbs, so you can get the larger gap between the string and the bow itself. Arrow speed, like Tony said, 200 feet per second for the 50-pound version. But if you get the 55-pound, it goes all the way up to 210. Oh boy!
I was looking at that, going, really? Does that make that much difference? That 10 feet per second?
Extra 10? No, not really. I mean, yeah, okay. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that. Okay. It's not great. You're not going to be killing anything past 30 yards well. I'm not saying with the right broadhead you can't kill a deer or anything smaller. Anything larger than like what would be the small thing that you'd eat? Well, okay, we'll take out the eating factor. If it's like a coyote or a raccoon, because you're surviving, you're not picky, you're going to eat what you can. So anything larger than a coyote up to like a deer or a wildebeest, not past 30 yards with this thing. First, your accuracy is not going to be there. And secondly, I mean, that feet per second is measured in front of the bow, just like with a gun muzzle velocity. that velocity drops as the gravity and the air resistance and all that jazz. Okay. So your arrow is not going to be 200 feet per second at 50 yards. It's going to drop lower and lower and lower. Obviously, the biggest benefit is being able to throw this in a bag. And strung, like when you put the string on there, it's 1 kilogram, so 2.2 pounds. So overall lightweight. Anyway, they use aerospace grade aluminum, yada yada. You can click on the links in the show notes to see more if you're interested. But I think based on our tone, you might not be. I don't. Hopefully, we didn't turn too many people off. But we're kind of playing devil's advocate, and the other. Well, not really. We're basically saying that neither of us, Tony, who's not an archer, and myself, who is an archer, both of us are agreeing that this isn't a great tool, or you better get really good at it to be able to rely on it. And that's kind of what they're selling is, hey, this can get you out of a very bad situation when you're in a pinch. Well, having an actual bow or having a firearm are much better tools for the job for the same price.
Yep, and never get into that situation where you have to depend on an erector set. And fine if it works, but make sure you put in the work with the tool. I mean, it just, I don't know, a lot of these things make it seem like all you need is this tool and you'll be good with it. And that's just not how it works. You have to, and even it says, he who prepares survives. Part of preparing is training with the tools and learning to use them, not just buying it and sticking it in your go bag. That's kind of what I'm saying.
That's a fantastic segue into the second is for everyone diversity shoot, Tony.
Wow, we're already there?
We are already there.
The second is for everyone diversity shoot. Is to be scheduled. The guy I usually schedule with at Gun for Hire just got married, so he's on a honeymoon. But our next diversity shoot is going to be in February 2017. We have a lot of neat stuff on tap for 2017. You can go to diversityshoot.com, check it out, see what's going on. You can even make donations to help a brother out because really this thing gets expensive. And what I do is take some of the money that I get now and I catch the sales, the end of the year sales, the Black Friday sales, and I purchase stuff for all of next year if I can possibly get it at a discount. So any money you give me now will go to pretty much next year's prizes. So if you could really help me out, I really appreciate it. Go to diversityshoot.com or check out Simon Says Train on Facebook or Instagram. And again, thanks as always.
Yeah, no problem. And then also make sure you visit the Fight Tyranny fundraiser for the Gun Owners Action League that's fighting the unconstitutional gun ban of AR-15s in the state of Massachusetts. I got the link in the show notes to go buy a shirt from them. And the proceeds from that go directly to helping them fight that law right on the front lines. So before wrapping up, if you've listened to the podcast this long, I'm going to reward you with a sneak peek of what we are going to be talking about next week. If you've already tuned out, and then you're going to miss out. So next week, we're going to be talking about the Lithgow F90 bullpup. This is a pretty sweet bullpup. It's basically the new generation modeled after the Steyr AUG. So we're going to be talking about that next week. Rob will be here, and he actually owns some AUGs as well as Tavors, so he's probably the go-to guy for bullpups in this group. So we're going to be talking about that.
You know the funny thing about AUGs, right? They started coming into this country in numbers right before the Clinton assault weapons ban, so pretty much they weren't allowed in. So when it's sunset, they're coming back in, and now it might just be in time for another Clinton assault weapons ban. Depends on the election.
That's an interesting observation. We'll repeat that on next week's episode.
No problem.
But yeah, good point. And then we're going to be talking about the Velocity magazine extensions from RE Factor Tactical. So that's your preview for next week's episode. So in summation, send questions or comments to gungearreview@gmail.com. Remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review. Check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv. And be sure to visit the Firearms Insider for reviews and industry coverage. So thank you to the guys that showed up at the beginning of the podcast. And thank you for Tony for being here and sticking around and being my co-host on this show.
No problem, man. Glad to help out. And bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.